Hello, Tom Levecki here with the New Theory podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Clete Balluch. Is that how you pronounce it?
Correct.
And we're going to talk a little bit about why. First of all, we're going to talk about his books. We're going to talk about him. And we're also going to talk a little bit about why people score so lowly on tests. For millennials, education is important. We have a lot of entrepreneurs on the show. And kind of funny, entrepreneurs tend to not do as well on standardized testing, but yet are successful later in life. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So Clete, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Pleasure to be on your show, Tom.
All right. So first, talk us about your formative years. Where did you grow up?
Oh, I'm a farm boy from Indiana, one of 7 kids.
Okay.
A little town called St. Leon.
Okay.
And I've written the history of that town if anybody's interested in what it was like growing up in a little German town west of Cincinnati, Ohio. I have written the history of that town. It's on Amazon.
Okay, and then you are an author, an accomplished author, and you like to talk about a whole bunch of stuff like human relations topics and so forth. What I want to maybe focus on today a little bit is we have a lot of entrepreneurs on the show, and why do you think maybe, for example, why? I guess we'll start with like kind of standardized testing, right? When high school going into college, that's a pivotal point for many people, especially entrepreneurs. So why do some people suffer from really low test scores?
Well, it's a perennial problem. You got 50% of the kids who are in our schools who are not motivated. You've got a bunch of teachers who are not motivated. And it all goes back to what I call an overall score of school culture and climate. On my website, there is a survey that measures school culture and climate. I've used that survey on hundreds of schools throughout the United States. More in West Virginia and Georgia than any other states, but basically what I found is that most schools do not have a good school culture and climate. So it's kind of like when a teacher walks into work in the morning and they walk through that door and they don't feel good about the way that school operates, the way they're treated, and when the kids walk through the door, they don't feel good about being in that school because their 5 basic needs are not being met. Teachers' 5 basic needs are not being met. That's the second reason. School culture and climate. In most schools, you've got maybe 15% of the schools in the United States have got a good school culture and climate. You've got maybe 60% are okay. And then you've got another 25% that are toxic. Most of those toxic schools are inner city schools like in Atlanta, Cleveland, New York, Washington, D.C., and so forth. What causes school culture and climate to be toxic or not good? We'll start with the 5 basic needs, okay? Tom, you've got 5 basic needs.
Okay.
I've got 5 basic needs. What are they? Philosophers from the 18th century on have been writing about why do people behave the way they do? The needs. What do they need? What causes them to behave the way they do? The earliest said, well, people behave the way they do because they want to be alive. So in being alive, anxiety, stress, how you feel about your moment in life at that time goes with that. Okay, that's part of that. If kids go to school and they're feeling stressed for whatever reason, because they're failing, because they may be being bullied, they don't have any friends there, the teacher doesn't like them, they're not doing well, that goes with that life need that's not being met.
Okay.
And you come to the second reason that the philosophers came up with, and that was people behave the way they do because they want to be happy.
True.
That makes sense, doesn't it, Tom?
Absolutely. Okay, so they want to be happy. Keep going.
If there's no happiness in your life, it's not a good life, right?
Correct.
Okay, then came along Nietzsche, a famous late 19th century philosopher. who was an atheist, by the way, he came up with power. He says people behave the way they do because it's all about power. Yeah, they want to be alive. Yeah, they want to be happy. But if they have no power, that's not life. Now, if you think about Trump, you think about Congress, you think about Putin, you think about all that's going on in the world, and you say, power. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Well, I take power and I come up with the third need, and I call it control. With power, you gain control. Without power, you have no control. And chapter 4 in my book describes the use and misuse of the 9 forms of power.
Okay.
Okay. There really are 9 forms of power. There are only 9. I've researched this and researched it. There is a 10th. It's called God.
There you
If
go.
you believe in God, you can call that power, but I didn't get into that in book. That it takes me about 30 minutes to explain the 9 forms of power, so we don't have time to go into that here.
No.
But just think about it, Tom. When you're in control versus you're not in control. When you're in control, how do you feel?
Strong, confident,
Yeah. When you've lost control, how do you feel?
helpless.
Yeah. Okay. 50% of the kids go to school believing they have no control. They are told what the rules are. They are told what to study. They are told where to sit. They are told this, told that. If they don't obey everything, they don't get a good grade, and they get sent to the office. So many kids go to school believing they have no control, and they're not happy, and their life needs may not be being met. Then you come to the 4th need, and it's called caring. Tom, what would it be like for you to wake up tomorrow morning and realize that nobody in this world gave a damn about you? Nobody cared about you.
It would suck, and I'd feel lonely and helpless.
Yeah, it's a desperate feeling. In a marriage, if you believe your spouse doesn't care about you, if you believe the kids don't care about you, and you go to work and they don't care about you, well, many kids go to school believing that teachers don't care. I've surveyed the kids. In 2002, I got a contract to evaluate every school district in the state of West Virginia. And I interviewed thousands of kids and thousands of teachers. And many of them expressed the feeling that the teachers don't care about them. And I said, what do you like about school? And they said, the teachers. I said, what don't you like about school? And they said, the teachers. I said, oh, well, tell me about that. Well, some of the teachers care about us. They'll listen to us. We can talk to them. They really want to make sure that we learn. And then you've got these other teachers. They come in there with their cup of coffee, prop their feet up on their chair, and they look at us and they say, hey, guys, I'm your teacher. If you're ready to learn, I'm ready to teach. If you're not ready to learn, that's your problem.
Okay.
They don't care about us. All they care about is their paycheck and when they're going to retire. That's what I got from thousands of kids when I interviewed them in the state of West Virginia. And that's really why I wrote the book, or in this case, 2 books that just were published in October of this year on how to improve school culture and climate.
Okay.
They're on Amazon.com. Just put my name in and you'll get, the book should come up. So the need to be cared about, many kids go to school believing the teachers don't care, and they also believe the other kids don't care. So the 4th need is not being met. Then you come to the 5th one. I said, why do you go to school? They said, well, we have to. I said, you mean if you didn't have to go, you wouldn't go? And they said, yeah, I don't like school. I wouldn't go if I didn't have to go. My parents didn't make me go, I wouldn't go. I don't like school. I got that answer from too many kids, way over 50%. Now, here you have the 5 basic needs. If you're on this earth as a person and you have no purpose in life, you believe nobody cares about you, you don't think you have control, you're not happy, and your life is being threatened in some way.
Correct.
What kind of person, how does that person wake up in the morning and go out and work? Or go to school?
Well, okay, so I see you diagnosing a lot of the problems, and I'm with you on that, right? And I'm
Yeah.
assuming you go to it in your book. Let's talk a little bit about some of the solutions.
Okay. Well, the biggest problem you've got with culture and climate is discipline. Many teachers have to stop teaching every 5 minutes to control a kid. Give me the book. Give me that note. Stop writing. Get your head up. Sit down. And on with the interruptions that occur in the average classroom. Then you come, so that's the first reason for poor culture and climate is the five needs. The second one is discipline. The third one is how the 9 forms of power are used. Uh, you have the 4 controlling forms of power, which most teachers and principals use. Position, reward, and coercion. The teacher has position power. They use it to give rewards or to punish. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Please elaborate.
Huh?
Makes perfect sense. Please elaborate.
Well, then, when parents use these forms of power, which many parents do as well, the kids resent being controlled and they resist. And that's what happens in many classrooms. Teachers, on the other hand, get the same forms of power used on them. The principal has position power. And with position power, they reward and punish the teachers below them. If they do what they're supposed to do, they become teacher of the week, or they get to go on a nice assignment, a field trip, what have you. And if they don't, then they don't get any rewards. One of the items on the school culture and climate survey is principals have favorites. And that almost always is negative because teachers perceive the principal has favorites. Well, when you talk to the kids say the teacher has favorites. Well, that's position power, and the favorites get rewarded. And those who are not favorite, they don't get rewards or they get punished. So the way power is used in schools is a definite turnoff or a definite improvement in the culture and climate. Then when you get to parents in the elementary schools tend to be involved, but when you get to the middle and high schools, parents are not involved. Chapter 5 and book number 1 describes a character ed program that involves parents and gets them on board. Because when I asked the teachers, what do you like about school? They said, the parents. I said, what don't you like about school? They said, the parents. I said, well, tell me about that. They said, well, we've got some of these parents. They will do anything we ask them to do. They are wonderful parents. Then we've got the other ones. And we're talking more than 50% of the parents. They don't support us. Actually, when we try to improve students' behavior here in school, when they go home, the parents undo it. The parents are lousy role models. I wish we could do something about them, but we can't. So if the schools do not involve parents in a character ed program that improves the behavior of parents, you are not going to improve the behavior of their kids. Because if you try to change the behavior of kids on, say, respect, on diligence, on responsibility, and on with the 28 character traits, if you try to improve students' behavior on those character traits at school and they go home and the parents undo that behavior because the parents don't have courtesy, they don't have responsibility, they don't have truthfulness, they don't have honesty, you aren't going to change the kids' behavior. So if you're going to have a character ed program to improve student behavior, you've got to involve parents. That's chapter 5 in book number 1. And then you come to communication. That's book number 2. Chapter 1 deals with the 5 basic interpersonal communication skills. There are 5 of them. And that conflict management is chapter 2. When teachers and administrators deal with conflict, and teachers deal with conflict with students in the classroom, Most have not had any training in conflict management at all. There are 5 basic styles for handling conflict. Trump is a perfect example of one of the styles. You have every style has a win-lose. In one style, a person wins and the other party loses. Then you have win-win, you have lose-lose, and lose-win. And then you have the 5th one, which is avoidance. Trump, if you see what he does on TV, his style is competitive. It is I win, you lose. With the news media, with the Paris Agreement, with Iran, with Cuba, with some of his staff right now. Sean Spicer just resigned. Was that a win-lose? I don't know. Spicer didn't win, or he wouldn't have resigned.
True.
So he tends to use the competitive. Where do you want to go from here?
No. I'm good with that. So, all right. So, what I want to get to is, all right. We talked about a lot of the problems. Okay. So give us a district that, and again, before we conclude, we'll include your book so people can find you. Give us a district that you actually would model after. It could be in the country, out of the country, from a school system perspective that's doing it well, and what learning is there from that system?
You say, is there a school system?
Yes, I mean, I would think there's one at least that you say, hey, they're doing a decent job. Which one is it?
Well, one of the best school systems in Georgia is Bremen, Georgia. It's a city school district. It's small. I've been in that school district supervising teachers and administrators many times. It has a good school culture and climate. It is very personal, very safe. I have run the climate data on that school, so schools. The reason for successful schools are all about human relations. When you walk through that door, how do you feel? How are you treated as a teacher, as a student? That's what makes a successful school. Curriculum is important, but curriculum, in my opinion, is way low on what makes a good school. If kids are motivated, if teachers are motivated, then whatever you throw at them, they're going to succeed at it because they will do it. In many cases, students are resisting. In many cases, teachers are watching their back because they don't know when the administration is going to hammer them. What kind of evaluation they're going to get. Are they going to move up? Are they going to get fired? Are they going to get moved to another assignment? What are they going to teach next year? My own son, for example, the principal did not like him. So my son's strength was language arts, teaching English and reading. Do you know what? They never assigned that to him. They assigned him math and science, his 2 weakest areas. That's what happens when administrators and teachers don't get along. They get assignments forcing them to quit. Okay. Where do you want to go from here?
No, I get it. I mean, there's some serious problems. So, Clete, how can we find you? How can people find you? Because obviously we could talk about this probably to the next weeks in a row. But how can people find you on Amazon as well as on the internet?
Well, I'm all over the web, so you can put my last name in and Cletus, and you'll find what's out there. Stuff that I have written. You should get my website, which is WestGA, abbreviation of West Georgia, westga.edu / tilde, that squiggly up in the left-hand corner of the keyboard, and C Bulloch. That'll get you on my website. Everything on my website is free. My email is on my website. You can send me an email. I can give you an autographed copy of the book for $25 if you want to want me to give you an autographed copy, or you can get it off Amazon or Barnes and Noble.
Awesome. All right, Clete, listen, thank you very much for being on the show. I know, again, this is an important topic. Why are there low test scores? There's some serious issues, systemic issues in our country around education. I like the fact that you are talking about an unpopular topic. Keep talking about it, and I see you're not going away anytime soon. So, Clete, welcome to the show, and this is a New Theory podcast.
Pleasure being on your show, Tom.
All right, Clete. Thank you. Yeah, it's a topic. You did a great job. Just there's so much to talk about. We'll post it on our